Hey folks, my name is Pravus and welcome to more Plague Inc. Evolved Custom Scenarios. I found something that I'd like to try out today. It is called the True Prion by Milvi. And Milvi correctly notes that the Prion in Plague Inc. has always been a little bit weird and very inaccurate. As far as I know, a Prion cannot be cured. It is always going to be a fatal terminal disease. The biggest issue is that if it kills itself off by killing faster than it can transmit, that's the main way you lose, not by getting cured. But in Plague Inc., it treats itself kind of like a regular disease. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. So this is Milvi's attempt at creating a more real and more accurate Prion, not the Plague Inc. version. So we have to be very wary of our lethality, always boosting up transmission, and we have to mainly watch out for humanity inventing a totally new technology. But the more transmissions we get, the more complex it is, the harder it's going to be. So we'll try playing this out here. I'll play on Mega Brutal, sure, right, that seems fine. And let's go ahead and move over to Saudi Arabia, unsurprisingly, and see what we can accomplish. So for transmissions, I'll start with some air, though it looks like we have something unique over here for wildlife, which is in the rural areas, but livestock is for rich. Interesting. So I've swapped things around here a little bit. This usually would be for rural. This would be rats for urban. Don't see that. Wild birds increase infectivity everywhere. Hot climates, just checking to see this is all the same. Yeah, most of this looks the same. So some uniqueness there. Plus we have some unique symptoms, the headache, and we have insomnia, which makes sense. If I recall correctly, a prion is basically a rogue protein that can lodge itself in your brain, and that's the main reason that it's going to kill you. Classic example of a prion, mad cow disease, and that's actually the main way that it would spread, is people would consume some infected meat, the protein contained within, and thereby, that's how it spread around. So as long as you quarantined that quickly, it wasn't really an issue. Now what's interesting is we don't have any lethality to start. I feel like the Prion probably should be a little bit fatal right off the bat, but from a purely balanced perspective, I'm not really sure how well that would work. So I guess it does make a little sense. Let's focus some more on some transmissions. The more transmissions I have, the harder the cure is going to be, so I feel like that's a worthwhile investment early on. Plus, I do want to be able to spread a little bit faster everywhere. Aviophile, almost all birds susceptible to infection. 38 DNA, ouch! But humans will react very poorly to the fact that birds are extremely infective. I'm guessing we go on an avian genocide of sorts. That might make some sense. Let's grab the water on the off chance we get lucky and we get a boat out of Saudi Arabia. I'm not expecting that to happen. We got headache for free, which I guess is, fine. That's not a big deal. What do we get out of that? Anemia, a little bit of severity and stuff, not a big deal. Paranoia. Yeah, if I was worried about the cure right now, I suppose that could be helpful. What do we have here? Right, the complex task. That's just to slow down the cure even faster. I feel like what I might need, since it looks like our infection is kind of low, weirdly enough, it's going to be some heat resistance. Or I guess we could go for the drug resistance early, and that still does help a little bit, but we're not getting out of Saudi Arabia very quickly here. This is an extremely slow start. Not getting a lot of DNA. I mean, more air transmission obviously would help a little bit. This is where typically I would find some symptoms would do a lot of the work for me, but oh well. Glad I got the drug resistance. We're already moving into North America and into Europe, so that's great. Let's go ahead and boost up their air transmission even further. I probably will want to go for some more drug resistance level 2 kind of early, since it looks like that's going to be a thing. But let's just keep focusing on getting things like extreme bioaerosol. I obviously do need to get around into the islands as quick as we can. Let's also pick up paranoia and maybe insomnia. I'm hoping that people are less likely to start up the cure. Never mind, Saudi Arabia is already starting. I'm hoping less nations feel inclined to join in on said cure then, while we wait for that to work. Let's go for drug resistance level 2. Seems nice. I also do need to get myself some cold resistance. This is a little bit weird because usually I would rely a lot more heavily on things like symptoms to carry me around, and so far that's not really happening here. We're kind of having to rely on some weak transmissions. So let's just let the resistance carry me the rest of the way and pray that that ends up being enough. Cold countries getting colder. Now I'm very glad I picked that up. So extreme bioaerosol should be fine, very good in the humid climates and stuff, which Russia does count as one of those, by the way. Which is interesting, because I never think of Russia as being especially wet, but that's also pure ignorance on my part. Maybe I have absolutely no idea. Gonna go for the livestock just to boost up in some of the rich countries. I'm also gonna go for the wildlife to boost up in Russia a little bit with the rural areas. Praying we get into Greenland. What is left here? Greenland and the Caribbean. Now, the Caribbean, I feel like we have a good chance of getting into, so that's less of a concern, but obviously Greenland is always a concern. I feel like this is a trap. Looks great from an infectivity perspective, but if humans react poorly, what is that going to mean for me? I don't know. I'm going to grab a level of insect just for the hot climates. That's going to be my poor man's heat transmission. We are going to get into the Caribbean. Just waiting to see a boat go to Greenland. If that does not happen, which it just did, boom. All right, we're fine. Let's go to symptoms. That's the fun stuff. Hemophilia. Okay, so heavy bleeding. Aneurysms are a thing. Brain hemorrhaging. Yeah. That's a lot of lethality. That could certainly be a problem for them. What do we want? I kind of want to see what aviophile does now that we should have a little bit of time to work with. They are working on that cure. I'm scared to turn on the lethality too high right now. So I'm going to pick this up and see what happens. This leads to total zoonotic infection. The Prion continues to break down species barriers, resulting in nearly every living creature being susceptible. All life is in peril. Very expensive, probably not great. We just mutated brain hemorrhage, by the way, so that's going to happen regardless. Blindness, reducing awareness, causing fatal accidents. Yeah, I guess that's fine. Delirium, slow down the research speed further. That's okay. As long as we are infecting fast enough, I'm not scared yet. Obviously, Africa could become an issue. We'll see what happens. Apocalyptic bird infection. After seeing the prion spread throughout an alarming amount of bird populations, governments around the world have forwarded a massive amount of effort into curing this disease, as containing it is no longer possible. They got like an extra 5% free progress is all that they got out of that. Which is, okay, I guess. Not killing fast enough, though, so we got to move on to things like delirium. Total organ failure could be good. Hallucinations, probably not good enough. I am concerned that we're not going to have enough gas right now, with enough DNA being generated to get things like the total organ failure. I need, 55 DNA here, and that means I need to get some freebies. But look how slowly we're killing. Now, the Prion, if I recall correctly, it does take a while to ramp up, so maybe I could have grabbed the brain hemorrhage just a little bit earlier, and that would have been fine, because, there's a delayed effect. So maybe, I don't know. As we kill people, we're going to start getting some DNA, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough here. Total organ failure for free, thank God. What do we get next? Total brain death. I mean, it's only 13 DNA for some reason. So sure, I'll take that. Coma's a lot more expensive. Not worried about that. Could save some points and go for some of the DNA resets. Let's see how the cure's looking, but now we should start ramping up that death a lot faster. Again, it's not an instantaneous impact, but it should start getting there pretty quick. A coma wouldn't be a bad way of also setting back the cure and stuff, which I will do. It doesn't look like it made much progress, if I'm completely honest with you. That is disappointment, but it's okay. It's okay. So they're working on that. What else we have here? Paralysis, harder to cure. It's only 12 DNA, seems fine. Schizophrenia. We can max out that lethality, and I mean, yeah, that's great, but it's not going to do a lot for me. More infectivity does me nothing. I'm just going to grab some genetic reshuffles and buy score at this point, because now we have so much lethality, we're fine. A nuke went off in Central Europe, and Chernobyl 2.0, or something, probably. I don't know. Very tragic for you, but you know what? Better to go out in nuclear hellfire than to die of this murderous prion. Am I right? Probably. So I can't decide if this scenario is a little bit easier than the base or not. I think it might be slightly because the cure took a little bit. If you never pick up the aviophile, I have a suspicion that this ends up being a pretty easy scenario. That's why I kind of suspected this was a trap. That was a lot of infectivity, but we didn't trigger the massive increase in cure stuff until we picked that up. Then again, it only was like a 5% difference. Maybe it wouldn't have mattered. Maybe it would have. I don't know. I do think at Mega Brutal, it's going to be kind of too expensive to go for the zoonotic infection. Infection didn't end up being our problem. We got around just fine. We just had to ramp up that lethality a little bit faster. So that took a little bit too long. 569 days, not enough to get 3 stars, but 54% cure progress is fine. 40,513 points. Going into this blind at Mega Brutal, if I'm able to find my way through it, I consider that to be at least a reasonable setup. I do think it's slightly easy, but not bad, actually, not bad. So, I'm trying to decide, though, does this accurately reflect the Prion? Slowing down the cure and stuff, yes. Humanity has to invent a new technology, sure. I do think it needs to start with some lethality, though, just to represent that it is always going to be fatal. If we had just avoided that, you can play it like a normal disease. But the whole point of this is that you should be always under the gun, because lethality might be faster than you're able to deal with it. You almost want to treat the Prion like a bioweapon. That's kind of what you want this to be like. So I think that could be rebalanced to actually get the purpose of the scenario across a little bit better. Just start with maybe 5% lethality. And as long as that's not strong enough to make you lose right out of the gate, I think that could be a little bit better. Otherwise, a good attempt. Absolutely. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If so, I would ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe to that notify bell, and I will see you guys next time.